To load the filament, we need to first turn on the machine, and the on-off switch is in the back. The machine will chime once it's fully booted up. There's the chime. Now we can get the filament ready to load. I'm putting my filament on the spool, oriented in such a way that the filament will be coming from the bottom and feeding up into the sensor here. You always want to maintain control of the end of the filament because this is wound up like a spring, and if you let go of the end of the filament can pass under some of the coils and cause a knot that can actually travel for quite a long time, and then halfway through your print the knot will tighten and ruin your print. So be sure to always maintain control of the end of the filament there. When I take the filament out from the side of the roll, I can see that it's kinked in a couple places. So I'm going to use a pair of snips and clip it below those kinks at an angle, so there's a little bit of a point to the end of the filament. And when I'm ready, I'll push the filament up through the runout sensor. So this sensor here will detect when the end of the filament is reached, and it will automatically pause your print, which is a nice feature. But I'm pushing it up by hand until I feel resistance. Then if I lift the tube up, you'll see that the filament is coming out the end. So I'm going to hang on to this with one hand, and with the other hand on the home screen, I'm going to tap Control and Load. And the loading process will automatically raise the nozzle temperature fully to 230 degrees Celsius. And once that target temperature is reached, a pair of gears in the extruder assembly will begin to turn automatically. And so then I'll be able to just drop the end of the filament into the feeder hole until the gears catch a hold of the filament and draw it down into the nozzle. Full temperature has been reached. So now I'm just going to drop the end of the filament straight down. And if I put my fingers right where it's entering the hole, I can feel it being pulled down by the gears. So I'm going to place the guide tube back into the hole, and now we'll wait for the filament to come out of the nozzle. If you see a different color, don't worry. That means that there's just a residue of whatever the last color was used left over in the nozzle. Just wait until your color that you loaded is coming out nice and smoothly, and then you can tap OK on the screen, and OK. So the filament is cool as soon as it comes out of the nozzle, so you can just grab it and pull it away, throw the excess in the trash. Now to remove the filament, the nozzle has to be fully heated once again. To unload the filament, we'll tap Control and then Unload. The nozzle will heat back up to full temperature, 230 degrees, and then the gears in the extruder assembly will reverse and push the filament back out. When it's done, the message "Unloading completed" will appear on the screen. Now we can carefully just pull the filament straight out. And before we pull it back out onto the roll, we'll want to clip the blob on the end of the filament because we don't want it to accidentally get caught in the filament runout sensor. So I'm going to clip the end of the filament at an angle to eliminate that blob. Now I'm going to hand roll the spool until the end of the filament comes back out. And again, I'm going to maintain control of the end of the filament at all times. Make sure that it's pulled tight. And feed the end through one of the retaining holes. Okay. And now this is ready to put into my storage container. On the front, I'll clean up any loose filament that has come out. When the unloading process is complete, the temperature automatically starts to drop in the nozzle. You can see there. Once the temperature drops to 50 degrees Celsius or below, the printer will be safe to turn off. Another sign that the printer is ready to turn off, I don't know if you can hear it on the video, but there's a fan blowing over the top part of this extruder assembly, preventing the heat from rising from the hot nozzle. Once the nozzle temperature reaches 50 degrees Celsius, that fan will automatically turn off. So you have two indicators that the printer is safe to turn off. One, the temperature will be 50 degrees Celsius or below, and the fan will turn off. And you'll notice it's gotten quieter in the room. The temperature's ready to drop below 50 degrees. And as soon as it does, the extruder assembly fan turns off. So it's now safe to turn off the printer. We'll just reach behind the printer and flip the power switch. And you can put the end of the guide tube back in the extruder assembly, and you're done.